New to the living healthy lifestyle or a healthy living veteran, this is your place for honest answers. Naturally Savvy with registered holistic nutritionist Andrea Donsky and health journalist Lisa Davis.
Hi, I'm Lisa Davis. So glad you're listening to Naturally Savvy. Andrea is away today. Have you heard of the keto diet? If not, you might be living under a rock. The keto diet is a big deal these days, and I am thrilled to have Chef Gerard Vivervito on the program to talk about this. Let's jump into this. First of all, I want to say that you are a culinary instructor as a director of culinary education for Passion Fish, a NGO nonprofit organization. Talk to us about this, and then we'll jump into the keto diet.
Oh, sure. In the year 2000, I was cooking in San Diego, and a bunch of chef friends and I were all looking at each other one day and all questioning, like, wait a second, is your fish getting more expensive? Mine is. Are your fish getting smaller? Mine, I've never seen anything. What's going on? And this is, you got to realize 18 years ago, now we take sustainability for granted, but it was a wake-up call. And really, the internet wasn't what it is today, and we couldn't just Google stuff like you can today. And it was kind of a grassroots effort where a bunch of us got together and started, tracking down the purveyors, and then from the purveyors working back to the fishermen. And it's like a grassroots effort to find out what's going on, why are these fish smaller, and looking up, congressional records and who's voting on what standards are being done, only to find out this horrifying fact: 91% of the seafood in this country that we consume is imported. And when I teach this to people, they're like, "You're kidding." I'm like, "No, look at the West Coast, the East Coast, look at the Gulf Coast. We're surrounded by water, yet we consistently pull in fish from outside for any number of reasons, usually cost. I mean, out by Cape Cod, you have all the greatest fish in the world off the Georges Bank, yet we still pull in fish from all over the world, and then we're pulling in from countries that may not have the regulations we have, so fish are getting smaller, overfished, or completely decimated. So we started this, outreach group to be educators. We tried to stay away from advocacy because we didn't want to shut people down right off the bat and just say, hey, look, we don't care what you want to eat, but why don't you ask, where is it from? How was it caught? Is it environmentally friendly? Are there going to be fish left for your children, your grandchildren, future generations, et cetera, et cetera? And we started all these great dialogues, and we've spoken at the International Seafood Summit all around the world. We've hosted our own Socratic little forums and dinners, and we try to make it fun and educational, because food, everyone on this planet, we all share one thing in common. We all eat. We have to eat to survive. And if we're going to eat, what do we put in our bodies? And that's what, as a lifelong chef has brought me down so many roads to say, okay, well, it's not even seafood anymore. I mean, now it's produce, it's oils, it's fats, it's sources of fiber, it's going to the farmer's market. Everyone brags about how they went to the farmer's market and they picked up 17 different types of tomatoes. But the average American eats the same three fish every year. Shrimp is number one, canned tuna is number two, salmon's number three, and if you want to throw number four, it's pollock, which is the filet of fish at McDonald's. We have zero variety when it comes to our proteins in our diet. So it's like we've got to start branching out, changing our diets, having healthier lifestyle, educating ourselves. Let's put the internet to good use. Let's start researching, what we're putting in our bodies.
Yeah, I really admire what you're doing. And I mentioned today we're going to be talking about the keto diet. Now, I know that for you tried a lot of different things out: paleo, low fat, high fat, South Beach, et cetera. Talk to us about when you adopted the keto diet and what brought you to it.
What really brought me to it is my wife and I love to travel, and we love to eat, and we love to experiment with different cuisines and cook together and eat together. And I've tried every diet under the sun. Not necessarily just because I always felt that maybe I needed to lose weight, but I had catering clients and people I was educating, and if I was going to get into their heads, I needed to practice this myself. And I was looking at all these photos from our last eating excursion to Paris, and I'm like, who the hell is that in those pictures next to my wife? I'm like, good God.
Oh, no.
I ballooned up. So I started thinking, the last time I got this big, I had Lyme disease, which is popular in the Northeast, and I was retaining all this water. So, of course, I'm like, it's a tick bite. And sure enough, I go and have my blood tested, and my doctor's like, well, if you don't change your habits, you are right on that borderline of pre-diabetic. And I mean, there is nothing worse. That's the greatest curse for, people in general, but
Oh,
for a
yeah.
chef to be told you can't eat. I mean, that's like, come on. It's like telling someone you can't breathe anymore. Sugar used to be my absolute favorite food group. So I started researching more and more. And years ago, I used to play around with the Atkins diet, which people think is the same, but it's not, because that's usually more protein heavy. So keto really is, even if I can explain it, is the body basically has two fuels it can use for power. You can use fat or you can use carbohydrate. And the trick is to use as much fat as you can and hopefully leave your sugar for emergencies. Sadly, in real life, it never works out that way, because your body can only store a maximum of, between our size, your size, whoever size, 1,800 to 2,000 calories worth of carbohydrates. Right, but we all can store an infinite. This is everyone listening, everyone on the planet. We can all store an infinite amount of calories of fat. Most people are sugar burners. And if you think of like a machine, sugar is a super inefficient fuel to burn, yet we're better at it. So now we've got this, it's like having a fortune in the bank without an ATM card. We've got all this fat to burn. So, the joke is you really want to be a better butter burner. Now try to say that 10 times fast. So
Better burner.
You can, you really want to be good at accessing and using what your fat calories. And when you stop eating sugar completely, eventually you're going to use up those 2,000 calories, right? So now you have no glucose left in your body. And it's like switching to that reserve tank of fuel sources. So you start to burn fat for fuel, right? And this is called nutritional ketosis, which, some people hear that word and all of a sudden like, ooh, that's bad. No, that's not bad. What they're thinking about is diabetic ketoacidosis, which is bad. So ketosis is basically your body metabolizing fat, and out of the fat it produces what are called ketones, and they're a great source of energy for your heart, brain, your muscles, and you can just burn. There's going to be about 10 days, this interim period, where your body's like, no, I will not give up sugar. I don't care if you chew your fingernails, if you smoke cigarettes, if you drink too much alcohol, whatever you do, when you stop, your body will do anything. It's just clawing its way back to like convince you psychosomatically or whatever, like you need sugar. Like I walk by the ice cream, I'm hallucinating, it's talking to me like, grab me, take me, look how good I am. And you just feel run down and miserable and cranky. And then, about, they say 10 days. I would say it was a good rock solid 2 weeks for me, that I came back with more energy than I knew what to do with. And I started getting worried. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm running on less sleep than ever. I'm exercising harder and longer than I've ever done in my lifetime. I mean, I shouldn't have this much energy, but the more I research it, it's how our ancestors lived. I mean, they weren't planting rows of grain and eating oatmeal for breakfast. They would hunt down an animal, they would kill it, they would eat. Who knew when they would eat again or when they would plant again? But they're in the winter time, so it's proven you could survive like this. So you get adapted to it. Then it's called being fat adapted, and there's this whole movement of marathon runners and ultra marathon runners. But the one thing that I think we all have to look out for is making sure you're not just eating, I'm going to have a hamburger and I'm going to top it with bacon and then avocado and everything else, which is all fat. But even some of those foods, we're going to lose some fiber, and that would, I would say, be the biggest drawback on the diet.
Yeah. So what do you do? Like, are you eating vegetables, hopefully?
Well, I eat, I do. My wife will tell me I need to eat more, but I do eat a ton. But if I don't, I find myself supplementing with high quality fibers, because, we're all, I don't know, I don't say all, many of us are about 35 to 45% shy of how much fiber we should be eating. Like the average between male and female, depending on your body size, 25 to 35 grams of fiber. And if you were to line that up or anyone does a Google image search of what 35 grams of fiber looks like, they would be horrified. Like, I don't eat that much food in a day. But what people don't realize is we just fill ourselves up on empty, stupid calories for the majority of the time. And then we'll always find ourselves being hungry, right? Our blood sugar spikes because of all the sugar, and then it drops and we crash. We're like, ooh, I'm hungry again. Whereas if you ate some more bulkier food, whether they're berries or avocados or grapes or beans, I still find, even though I think I get enough, when I make my little fat smoothies in the morning to take to work with me, I'll use a product like Sunfiber and a scoop of that or 2 scoops in my shake. It's tasteless, it's odorless, it literally dissolves and you don't even notice anything. You can cook with it, doesn't change any textural issues. And it shouldn't be confused. I know there's probably some listeners out there like, oh my God, my grandmother used to use fiber and that stuff is awful. It's horrible. This is not the,
not your grandmother's fiber.
Yeah, that should be a great tagline for a company. Like, not your father's oatmeal and not your grandmother's fiber. It's not the orange scented one that goes down like sawdust.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Doubles you over in pain. This is like no bloating, no bad taste. So you really want something soluble. I mean, we do need insoluble and soluble, but the like Sunfiber has prebiotics in it, which we all need. You've heard so much about gut bacteria and how our guts really are our second brain in our body, how important it is to really, really take care of ourselves, whether
definitely
mentally or gut. Everything starts in the gut.
Take us through